Calgary Police Service Homicide Unit has laid additional manslaughter charges against a man previously charged with weapons trafficking in relation to a double homicide that occurred in May of 2017. At approximately 7:55 p.m. on Sunday, May 21st, 2017, police were called to a parking lot in the area of 130th Avenue and 48th Street Southeast for reports of gunshots. 2 men were found deceased upon arrival. The victims were later identified as Colin Brendan REITBERGER, 23, and Anees Ismail AMR, 26, both of Calgary. In June 2017, Christian Joffre OUELLETTE, 20, of Calgary, was arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in relation to this case. At the beginning of March, Blais DELAIRE, 26, of Calgary, was charged with 1 count of weapons trafficking. Yesterday, detectives charged DELAIRE with 2 counts of manslaughter with a firearm. Investigators are still looking to identify the driver of a red Dodge Durango who dropped off OUELLETTE at a gas station located at 70 Freeport Boulevard Northeast following the murders. The vehicle is described as a red Dodge Durango SLT, likely a 2004 to 2006 model, with the sunroof. Photos of this vehicle are available on the City of Calgary newsroom. Anyone with information about the driver of this vehicle is asked to contact police by calling 403-266-1234 or the homicide tip line at 403-428-8877. Tips can also be left anonymously by contacting Crime Stoppers. The Calgary Police Service would like to thank the public, the media, and Alberta Law Enforcement's the Alberta Law Enforcement Response Team for their assistance with this investigation. Now I'll take your questions if you have any.
How important was Project Arbor in laying these charges?
Like was said at the last press conference, Project L Arbor was extremely important in laying the charges in this case. It was a situation where they were already involved in an investigation, and information from their investigation greatly assisted us in laying the homicide charges.
And so how does manslaughter differentiate from like the other homicide charges that were laid?
Based on our investigation and based on the evidence that we gathered, the file was forwarded to the assigned Crown Prosecutor, and the Crown Prosecutor decided that in relation to Mr. DELAIRE, the charges approved were manslaughter with a firearm.
Are you anticipating more charges, more arrests in this?
Well, this investigation is still ongoing, so at this point, we would like to identify the driver of the Durango and determine what his involvement was or what his knowledge was at the time. It's suffice to say that the investigation is still ongoing, and it's possible that we could lay charges if evidence is gathered to support those charges.
Are you getting any assistance from any of the people that you've already arrested?
Assistance from people that were...
You've arrested some people, and this, are they actually giving you any help in expanding your investigation?
Well,
are they talking to you about it?
Obviously, this case is still before the courts. To determine who has provided us with information, etc., would be irresponsible of me at this time. So it's suffice to say that we have witnesses in this case that have provided evidence. With respect to specific individuals, we're not at liberty to discuss those details. And nobody has necessarily cooperated with the investigation from those individuals that were arrested.
Anything else?
I'm trying to figure. Sorry, and I apologize. I was going to ask this earlier, and I'm trying to.
Yep.
I'm trying to word the question just for the people at home.
Right.
Because they're going to read a lot of this stuff. They may not have really understood what Arbor was about, because some of us, we only kind of scratched the surface of what that detail. There was a lot of organizations involved. We're even talking international organizations.
Mhm.
Is this something to be concerned about? Like, is there a kind of a ramp up with the, drugs coming through this city? I mean, I know economic times sometimes tie into that. Do people at home have a concern, or is it just happens? This is is this a one-off thing?
Well, there's always going to be drugs in any city, and at any time. This is a situation that this particular situation was El Arbor was a drug investigation, and it just so happened that we've identified the individuals in relation, or Alert identified the individuals in relation to the drug investigation, that Mr. Chapman, Mr. Ouellette, and Delaire were associates. But as far as the homicide goes, we have information to support that both Mr. Ouellette and Mr. Delaire were involved in this homicide. So.
It's pretty safe that the people who run drugs and kill people have also committed other crimes. Are you expecting to be laying more charges? Is there a wider ranging investigation going on? Are there other homicides that you're looking at for these people?
At this time, like I say, the investigation is ongoing with respect to this particular homicide investigation. I can tell you right now that we're not looking at other homicide investigations at this time.